So I volunteered to go up and help them and had a great time. And long story short, by 2019, I worked for the company and eventually took over all their outing operations and camp operations and mining claim operations, and had a really good time doing it. And that's the same time frame that I met my wife, Lisa, who is still showing that she can hear us. We can't hear her.
Yeah, I had
and
a terrible blonde moment, Blake. I'm sorry. I uh, pause. Sorry. I forgot to. I was live here feeding my encoder to YouTube, but I forgot to push the live at YouTube. And my great chat room here, all my friends in live chat. I thought I might have been muted because David Villa said, check your mic, Ed. And I'm like, my
oh,
mic's working. And then I look up and say, start stream. And I'm like, oh, Ed, you blonde,
I enjoyed the
so you're
story.
saying you want me to start over?
you blonde dumbass. Beep. So if you wouldn't
I can start
mind.
over. I've done the story up many.
I'll do a short version of the start of the show, everybody. You can catch it tomorrow, I promise. Yeah,
So my
Blake.
wife is sending me text messages right now that says shorten the story. So I'm going to
Shorten
shorten
the
the story for you.
story. Okay. Yeah, shorten the story. But they didn't hear the question.
Yeah. So
What inspired you to establish Skookum Mining Camp, gold mining camp?
we'll put it into the abbreviated version, and we've always wanted to have our own. I worked for GPAA starting back in 2012, and as a volunteer even before that, and so we always enjoyed gold prospecting. And when I worked for GPAA, my favorite part of working for the company was being able to go out, be around other prospectors, and be able to spend time with them and teach them things that they didn't know when they came. Because ultimately, to me, no matter what type of prospecting event that you attend, you should come with the intention of learning something, hopefully finding some
Right,
gold.
right.
And so when I ran Triple River up in Nome, it was a great experience. I made a lot of lifetime friends, and
Was
I learned
Spike
what I liked.
Littlejohn working up there too while you were there?
He did. He worked there when I worked there. Yeah, absolutely. And so to me, it was a great model, but it was too congested. I wanted something that was a little bit more personal.
Right.
So when my wife and I developed Skookum, we wanted it to be something where everybody would know everybody by the end of the week, learn something, find some gold, and have a good time. And so it took quite a few years for all the cards to fall together. You know, first we started just with Miners Depot here in Quartzite, and when I left GPAA, we still wanted to go to Alaska. And a good friend of mine, Don Carr, it's like, hey, come out and check us out in Central. Like, where the hell is Central? Pardon my language. And
No
so we looked it
problem.
up and we decided to go out there and check it out. And as soon as we got there, we are like, well, this is pretty rural. I'm not sure this is for us. But it was. As soon as we met him and went out and started exploring and prospecting, we're like, wow, we love this place. And over the next few years, we actually bought a house up there and developed a gold mine there. We're running heavy equipment, and we knew that we wanted to make that the place where our gold camp was based. And in 2021, the Roadhouse in our town, which is a bar, restaurant, hotel, groceries, and gas and all that stuff, came available for sale. And so we talked to them and we're like, hey, this is what we want to do. Is this something that'll work for you? And the stars aligned and we got the opportunity. We knew that was the last piece of the puzzle that we needed to make Skookum a reality. And Skookum is a term that is used widely in the Northwest. It stands for strong, brave, powerful. And it also is the name of our patented property. And for those of you who don't know what patented property is, that means uh, you own the land, you own the minerals, both. So a mining claim, you own the minerals. Private land, you own the land, but you don't always own the minerals. Patented, you own both. And
Yep.
so the guy that patented the ground that we have, he called it Skookum. And so that's kind of what inspired us to call it Skookum. And so when we had the chance to buy the Roadhouse, which gave us the rest of the tools that we needed to make the camp a reality, we decided to carry the name forward. So now it's Skookum Gold Camp and Skookum Roadhouse.
Awesome.
I like it,
Nice swag.
and I told you about Skookum Creek, Washington, which
Yep.
had its own little rush back in the day. I like the name, you know.
Yep.
It's Skookum.
It's catchy.
It's unusual, and it's going to be famous.
Now, so what year did you start it?
So this will be our third summer with the camp. So let's see, so 22 was the first year that we ran the camp. We've been going up there much longer than that, like I said. But our first year with the camp was 2022.
Right on. Can you describe to the audience and me uh, the experience and services that's available there? And it is
Sure.
all inclusive, right?
Yeah. So our camp is all inclusive. And I want to start by saying that every camp that does kind of what we do has a unique experience. Everyone has something different to bring to the table. There's AKAU and Nome. There's the camp over Gold Fever prospecting over on the 40-mile river. And everything is different. So eventually, for the people that come up and try them all, they'll learn what they like the best. But what I like about what we do is, we're family run, which most of them are. And we provide the opportunity for people to try everything that they want to try. So when guests come to our camp, we pick them up in Fairbanks, Alaska. They spend 7 nights with us. And we've got a hotel, so it's nice, comfortable beds. They come into our restaurant, they eat off the menu. So I'm a really picky eater, like to a fault. So I could live on grilled cheese sandwiches every day and I'd be good. Anyways, we have a nice restaurant with a whole range of food options. So you don't have to just eat whatever's on the menu for that night. You can just, hey, I want a burger. And if you want a burger every night, that's fine.
Right.
So we got something that'll fit every diet. And then they can hop out and go to our claims and private property on ATVs or side by sides, depending on the size of their group. And then we're going to be out there with them to teach them. So if you want to go out one day and dredge, and then the next day go out high bank, next day go out metal detecting, and maybe the next day just take an ATV adventure to the top of the mountain, that's okay. We're very open as far as letting people kind of do what they want to do. And we try to provide all the tools that they need to try everything that they want to try, even if they only come for a week.
Are there any like ghost towns or old mining ruins or anything in the nearby area for them to explore, like up on 40 Mile?
A little bit. So there is an old town site on Deadwood Creek, which was pretty big at one time, but is not anymore. But we also, for the people that really enjoy the history of it, we have the museum here in our town. So it's actually a really nice museum for the size. And I think you got to go there, right, Wayne?
Yeah, we went down. Beautiful mining museum, nice displays, really nice lady work there. Well worth going down.
I forget the name of the town, closest town there. I was looking on a map when Wayne and I were talking about it. What's the name of the town again?
Circle.
So from Fairbanks is to us, and then the next town down is called Circle.
Circle. That's the closest, biggest town to you. Is Circle.
Yeah, and they're not much bigger than we are. So Fairbanks really is the next biggest town.
My friend Troy Johnson, he's also from Ohio, but he has a claim up in BC on the Similkameen River. Very, very good river. For sure the part in Washington. But he wants to know what size dredges.
So we have everything for every ability level. So a lot of people come up and they've never dredged before in their life, and they're not comfortable necessarily with being underwater. And there's other people that want to just get at it and have the biggest dredge possible. So we have our biggest dredge is the Keen Supermax, which is a large, I would call it industrial size 6-inch dredge that can move enough dirt to hurt you if you're not careful. And then we also have a 5-inch, 2 4-inch, and a 2-inch and a 1.5-inch dredge. So we've got something for every ability level. And with the medium-sized dredges, we try to put them in a place where they will cater to different groups. So one of them, yeah, you might have to get underwater, but you're not going to have to go too deep. And the other one, you could actually long arm and dredge without having to worry about getting underwater and still be able to get to bedrock.
One thing I can tell you, Ed, I think Blake said it perfectly about the camps of Alaska. They're all good. They all have something to offer.
Right.
It's just when I went to Skookum the first time, it was just it had everything I wanted, and it felt like family. And the people in Central, just the locals, when they come into the bar and the restaurant, they're the nicest people you ever want to meet. But the equipment there is top notch. The lodging is excellent. The food, tremendous food. There's really nothing I can say bad about the place. One other thing to mention is it abuts a GPAA claim. So if you're a member of GPAA and you're at Skookum, you've got another claim there. So
Okay.
Nice, you have numerous options.
Well, that'd be a lot of the people in the room, including me. I happen to be LDMA also.
Mm-hmm.
So to add to what he said, the first time we went to Central through my friend's recommendation, we went to the GPA claim. And the first year, all we had was a sluice box and that was basically it. So we were crevicing and grabbing some dirt, and putting it in buckets and going down to the creek and finding gold. We found some gold. And then the next year we went up, I brought a 5-inch dredge. And even on those claims, which a lot of people think GPA claims are played out because there's so many members and this and that and the other, you'll find quite a handful of people that go up there that are GPA members that spend a good chunk of the summer boondocking it. And when we went up as a family with the 5-inch dredge, we went over there to the GPA claims and we were actually doing pretty good. We were getting like 3/4 of an ounce on average a week. And we weren't working 200 hours a day. You were working a few, enough to where, hey, I'm getting cold. I got to get out of the water. And so I would say bang for your buck. We did pretty good on GPA claims. And that's part of what drew us to there and allowed us to grow our presence there.
Right.
Well, another thing about working 200 hours, one thing that's nice about Skookum is you can prospect, when the sun's not going down, you can prospect as long as you'd like. And, some camps shut you off at 5 o'clock. And so it's pretty flexible.
As long as I know where you're at and roughly when you're coming back, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of common sense, especially up there.
Yeah.
Do you have salmon in the river or creek?
That's the one thing we don't have, unfortunately. So we're in a place where most of the creeks in our district, so like Deadwood Creek, where a lot of the guys like to dredge, and then the creek that's right next to the roadhouse, where everybody stays, there's good grayling fishing. Anywhere you find a deep spot in the creek, you're going to find grayling. About a 20-minute ride down the road, you can get to Birch Creek, which is a larger creek, large enough for boats. And that creek has great northern pike fishing, grayling, and once in a while you'll find a sheefish or a bourbon. But we're so far inland.
Well, true. It isn't like you're in Nome or even Valdez or Juneau or Anchorage. So you're actually not far from. Well, I guess everything's far in Alaska. But you're more towards like chicken and stuff, towards that end.
Yeah, so as the crow flies, we're only 80 or 90 miles away from Chicken. Now you can't drive there that fast. You got to take
Right.
a full day trip down to Fairbanks and across and around the corner. But so we're definitely in the interior. We're only about 100 miles as the crow flies from Canada. So there's pros and cons. So where we're at, we're warmer and drier, but we
Yeah.
don't have the salmon.
Right.
Yeah. I find it hard to pan salmon, so I'm happy with gold.
Right, right. No, that's understandable.
Well, they flop around.
Well, you told us how you cater to both the experienced prospector along with the greenhorn and newbie. What do you take any steps to preserve the natural beauty of your area?
Yeah,
Uh,
so Alaska as a whole is the majority of the people that are mining in Alaska are mining on state land. And
right.
so Alaska's pretty easygoing as far as the rules, but they're also common sense. So, for
Very much
example,
so.
where our mine is just upstream from the patented property that my friend is running, uh, we can dig pretty much what we want. There's basically two goals. Number one, keep the shitty water part. I'm sorry, it's YouTube. Sorry about that.
Beep.
Um, keep um, keep the dirty water out of the creek.
Right.
If you're especially from the heavy equipment, because that stuff takes a long time to settle. Um, and number two, when you're done, you have to try and bring it back to a natural contour. And really, if you do that in a place like Alaska, especially, within a couple of years, you're already going to see some really beautiful saplings, some new berry bushes, and all kinds of stuff that
Right.
comes in that helps stabilize the terrain and also allow for the future growth for other types of plants and vegetation that will reclaim the land back to what it was. So it's about common sense and trying to make things where you can get the gold and then go back and trying to bring it back the way it was when you started.
Right.
Yep.
And not spoiling it for anyone else.
Right. Even
That's
up
correct.
at
And the
Maine.
one thing we have going for us with Skookum at our patented property, uh, it's not a fish creek, so there's no fish. And actually, before the creek even gets to its termination, it goes underground. So it's never going to spoil any kind of fish habitat or anything like that. Whereas on Deadwood Creek, which is another creek that we have claims on, that one does have fish. So basically, in that situation, if you're going to be high banking, we have to set up a pond so the material that you're discharging from your sluice has a chance to settle a little bit before it gets back to the creek.
Even in Maine, we're so environmental up here. We insist on filling in all the holes. It's a
Right.
state law. I mean, we're so diligent up here. Our club actually goes and cleans streams at the end of the year. We have a stream of pickup trucks, and we all split up, walk along the streams, pick up any trash we find from fishermen or anything, and take it off the streams. And you got to respect the environment.
Oh, definitely. I encourage always picking up others' trash and stuff while you're
Absolutely.
out and about.
Yep.
We're ambassadors of our lifestyle,
Yeah.
and
If I see
people will
somebody doing
judge
something wrong
us.
up here, I walk up and tell them, because one person can spoil it.
That's
And,
right.
We've got to police it.
That's right. And if we do it, we won't like what happens. Look what's happened to California, Oregon,
Sure,
Washington,
the Washington State.
and they're
Our
trying
club is.
hard to do it to a lot of others.
We monitor what the state is doing, what legislation they're looking at. We testify before the state house, and we've saved gold prospecting in Maine. And Blake saving it in Alaska. What a great country.
Yeah. That's really coast to coast and in the middle, huh?
There you go.
There's a whole lot in between, that's for sure.
There is.
No
Yep.
doubt about it. No doubt
Yep.
about it. Does Skookum, does your gold camp contribute to any type of education for locals and stuff, or is it
Yeah.
strictly a client kind of
No,
educational thing?
so basically, because we're year-round residents of Central, and a lot of the people that live there either mine or have been mining at some point in their life. And then you get a lot of people that come in as tourists who want to prospect for gold. So our focus is heavily on education in general, both from a land rights perspective and a how to do it perspective. So that is something that's near and dear to our hearts. And a big part of our focus. And we hope to make it even bigger and more than it is now over the coming years. And so yeah, that's the short answer. But if they've got specific questions, I can answer them more directly.
My friend Jeff from Utah, GoPro Unlimited, he asked Blake what constitutes a group pricing on the gold camp.
So for us, a group is more than one. So
Okay.
if you have one person, you pay the higher price, which is $2,500 for the week. If you come with more than one person, or if you come with more than 1 week, the price goes down to that 2,000 that you might have seen on the webpage.
Yep.
Yeah, I
It's
posted the
very
website
affordable.
in the chat also. Oh, I just copied that. I shouldn't have
Skookum is
did it.
affordable, comfortable, and the gold is excellent.
Yeah, I saw a video from a British guy, I believe,
Teddy.
that
Eddie.
came over there, and so good he's going back.
Yeah.
Short story about Teddy. It's kind of funny. So he came for a week with his buddy Adam, and he had already been to Nome, and he went to Fairbanks and messed around there, and then he came out to our camp. And as soon as he got back to England, he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, you have any more room?" Like, well, what do you mean? You were just here. It's like, yeah, but I want to come back. So he actually came back at the end of the season, and
Awesome.
he had so much fun that next year he's actually going to spend 6 months with us as a volunteer to make Skookum a
Cool.
better place. It is
Cool.
now.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's
He
excellent.
seems like a great guy.
Shoot, I'm
He's a
gonna
good. He's awesome. Yeah,
He's like
he's the kind of guy
Dan
that
Johnson.
when you're around him, you can't not smile.
Yeah, like Dan Johnson from Wisconsin.
Exactly.
Just a great guy.
Oh,
You're only
man.
saying that because he's on the video.
I didn't even know he was on. No, he's a nice guy.
Uh-huh. Is he in the room right now?
Earlier, you said he was Johnson from Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, he's still here. And there was another gentleman, Cole, and a friend of mine, Jeff Smith from California.
Oh my God, you know Jeff?
Oh yeah, I've been out. Actually, when I found my 3 nuggets, I was with Jeff and
Did you
Gary.
make any of his goats faint yet?
No, no. We met at Gary's house and went up to one of their claims at No
Okay.
Tell 'em Creek. You gotta kill me, get it out of me, and that won't happen. So I'd be dead.
So Jeff Smith, I met Jeff Smith quite a while ago. I was actually, gosh, because he lives in Biggs, California. And we
Right.
met back when his wife was working for the prison and he was farming, and they had fainting goats. And
I love those.
and I went out there, and he was doing a show. This is back when Terry Massey was still involved with GPAA, and he was doing a show at a place called Butte Creek, and he asked if I was interested in coming down, and I did, and one of the best times of my life. And so I was high banker dredging in the creek, and Perry was there, and his camera guy, and my friend Jeff was there, and I got to go over to his house, and I had never seen a fainting goat in my life. And I'll tell you what,
Aren't they
it
funny?
doesn't take much to get them to faint. That's for sure.
I love him.
He's at baseball right now, but he's listening to the show. Now, Jeff, next time I get out to the Motherlode, brother, I want to video some fainting
Fainting goats.
Oh, that is good.
Right on, right on. Anyone, if you have any questions for either Wayne about Maine, Central Maine Gold Prospectors, or Blake about Skookum,
Yeah, you can
Gold
contact
Camp.
me about Skookum, Blake, or Lisa, and I'm always available because I'm old. You know, all I have to do. And one of us will get right back to you and let you know what's available, you know, what you get by coming to Skookum.
Right.
And don't snooze because it's filling up.
Yeah, it probably fills up quick, huh?
So we focus more on the experience than the amount of people. And to me, I'd rather fill up and give everybody a good time than take more people than we can handle. And so that's going to be our focus forever. But the one cool thing about what we're doing, especially now, so back when I worked for GPAA, YouTube wasn't really a thing. Everything was just kind of developing as far as digital stuff goes. But now, I don't need to promote the camp. I promote the camp, obviously, but it's a lot better to hear people's experiences from the horse's mouth. So if you go online nowadays and you're looking for information on anything, whether it be Skookum Gold Camp or whatever else you're looking for, you're going to find videos about it. So you can go right onto YouTube right now when you're done with this session here and look up Skookum Gold Camp, and you're going to find videos that come from people that have been there as a guest, and you're going to find videos that from people that are part of our crew, and you're going to see it from their perspective, not from the owner's perspective. And we're honest, but it's always nice to hear it from other people's mouths.
Absolutely. You know, there's an old adage. I was in sales for 32 years. And Ed, there's an old adage, and it says, if you have a good experience, you'll tell your friends, you'll tell your family. If you have a bad experience, you'll stop people in the grocery store and tell them because people like to complain. And so the best thing is a reference from someone who's been there and been to multiple camps.
Well, word of mouth has been the best form of advertisement for centuries.
Absolutely.
I got a couple of questions, like my friend Jason, AU Colorado. How hard is it to get to Skookum Gold Camp?
Not hard at all. Just get to Fairbanks.
Yeah. And like I said, you just get to Fairbanks. So the way our camp is organized is our guests come into Fairbanks, and on a Tuesday, whatever Tuesday they arrive, we'll pick them up and we'll drive them all the way out to the camp, which is 2 to 2.5 hours, depending upon the road conditions that particular week. And they spend 7 nights with us, and we bring them back on the following Tuesday. So they're actually getting a full week, not just 6 nights. We're getting a full 7 nights at camp, and that is better for us too, because then we can take them back, drop them off, and then pick up the next group because we're so far from Fairbanks.
And the purpose
as long as you get to Fairbanks, it's perfect. We have had a few people who want to drive all the way to Fairbanks. Let's say they're on a big Alaska vacation and they want to do a bunch of other stuff and then also do what we're doing. We've had them drive right out to the camp, and we can accommodate that as well. So we're very flexible, and we do everything that we can to make it as easy on everybody as possible.
I mean, if you look at it, most camps run Sunday to Sunday, and Skookum runs Tuesday to Tuesday. And the reason for that is airfare. It's cheaper for the customer to fly in
midweek
and come to the camp on Tuesday than it is to fly in on the weekend.
Right.
So You know, it's going to save somebody 15% at least on
Well,
the
I
flight.
remember you saying there was no fish in the stream. So, uh, what's the bear hazard like?
Well,
Bears out by us are mostly looking for wildlife, uh, and berries. We got a lot of berry bears, and so far in the years that we've been going up there, there's never been any problem with the bears. They're out there, but when they hear noise, they go somewhere where there isn't because it's such a wide open place. We're so far removed from the city that there's plenty of places they can go where they don't have to deal with civilization.
Right.
So have we had a few bear sightings? Yeah, but they're few and far between. Um, and we've never had a problem with them. Uh, unless you count a steaming pile of poo on the road on your way up, a problem, which I don't. So
well, living in Maine, I'm used to bears, and black bears aren't an issue. You know, if you surprise a sow with cubs, you might have an issue. But I've seen lots of bears, and I don't even get concerned over them. Now, grizzlies are a different thing, but
Right.
you know, roll the dice.
but even grizzlies, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Nome because I ran the camp up there, and as long as you don't get in their way, especially between them and their cubs, it's mostly common sense.
Yep.
Again,
And
common sense.
Yep. It'll save you.
Okay. Now Wayne, my friend
Yeah.
Troy, he's the avid dredger. Um, he's like, how's the dredging in Maine?
Well, the dredging in Maine is good. Maine is a hidden gem. You know, even the people I've known here for almost 40 years, when I tell them I go gold prospecting, they go, gold? There's gold in Maine? Because most people, unless you're interested in gold prospecting, you really don't know. And
Right.
the dredging up here is excellent. We're restricted to a season June 15th to September 15th for motorized, and that includes electric. You know, anything that pushes water is considered motorized, and it's only available on a few rivers, but it's available if you own the land or you have landowner permission, you can dredge. High banking, same thing, because it's motorized. Sluicing, you can do year round up here. There is no closed season. And, panning, of course, you can do all year long.
Right.
But in the winter, it's like Alaska. You're really not going out in the water. So, and it's different up here because you can't dig in the banks. You have to dig in the stream or in the gravel bars, and never above the high water mark. But every state is different, and that's why it's important to learn the laws.
That's very true. Good, very good point, Wayne. I think this is for you, Blake, from Jason, the Flower Gold Wizard. You guys ever get to work with Paul Baker at Skookum?
Well, let's see.
Who? I don't know. Who is he? No, Paul's a great guy, and he was one of the first guys that came on to help us with camp. He was actually here at our gold show we had here in Arizona this weekend. We every year in Quartzite we have a what is now, because there's not many other gold shows in the country, I would call it probably the biggest gold show in the country. We had along the lines of about 40 vendors, and we had probably around 5,000 people attend. Because the weather's nice and something for everybody, from rock and gem all the way to gold prospecting equipment. We had a lot of different vendors that had a little bit of everything. But going back to Paul, he did come to the show this weekend. He came and helped me out on Saturday. He wasn't feeling great, so he didn't come by on Sunday, but he's been an irreplaceable part of what we've done for the last 2 years. And coming from somebody who's from Michigan, how somebody could be that knowledgeable about prospecting and be able to give people that good of a time. I don't have a good answer for that, but he has. A lot of our guests really enjoy.
Just a great guy. He's a
really
great
enjoy
guy.
him being there,
hard,
and we hope that he'll continue to be a part of the team.
Yeah, that's good.
Right on.
Paul's a great guy.
GoPro Unlimited is wondering, can can your customers bring their own firearms?
Sure can.
Absolutely. So basically, when it comes to firearms, there's a couple ways to get firearms up to Alaska. Because most people don't have to lay over in Canada, we don't have too many restrictions. You just got to declare them when you come into the airport and have a good locking hard case to put them in, and then pick them up on your way out. Some people who drive up to Alaska and just are making part of their trip, just what making us part of their trip.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them will ship their guns to a dealer in Alaska, and then once they get there, they can pick them up. So depends on the individual. I know that when I went through Vegas the last time with a big case that had 5 pistols, semi-automatic shotgun, and a rifle in it, it took me a little while to get through, but I got through.
Well, I'm a big proponent of the fat friend. You bring a fat friend when you go prospecting. You can run faster.
Right,
So,
right.
No need for a gun. Just leave them behind.
My friend Rachel from New Jersey, she says the next time she's up in Maine, she wants a pan for gold.
Cool.
Yeah, I help contribute.
Well, tell her to follow us. Tell her to follow Central Maine Gold Prospectors on Facebook.
I have a link in the description, Rach.
Cool. Because we have outings every month. We have meetings every month. We have plenty of people and we'll be happy to take her. William provide the equipment.
There you go, sis. Yeah, she came to Gold Rush Days a couple times here and camped with me, and she's a really good detectorist, but I think she caught the gold bug just a smidgen, some of this Ohio fly poop, but she found some.
Well, the thing about the monsters, it'll find fly poop. It'll find anything. That's one of the problems. It's kind of really too sensitive. But, you can play around with sensitivity. But
Keith Dyer, welcome. And I saw someone else in here, Drain the Swamp 2024. Campsite, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah. Hi, Keith. How are you, bud?
I saw another name I never seen before in here, and I want to say hi. Welcome, Daniel. Good to see you, Daniel True.
Oh, Dan True, great guy. Hi, Dan.
Welcome.
How about Dale Covey? Covey. You've met Dale. He came with me last year.
I remember him.
The real big dude, real quiet guy, hardly says
I wish I didn't, but I do. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, he hardly talks. You got to pry the words out of his mouth. Is Carl Miller out there?
It's hard to tell who's out there. Yeah. Only so many people talk, but I love my lurkers too. Let me see. Now, some people might want to know is went over that. Are there any community engagements in initiatives or partnerships with local businesses that may be in the area?
So the short answer is yes. But it's kind of full circle because we're such a small town.
Right.
So in Central, we've only got basically 3 businesses. You got the post office, you got the museum, and you got the roadhouse, and we're the roadhouse.
Right.
And so we support the museum the best we can. And I'm also the president of our mining district up there. We're trying to bring the mining district back to life and support land rights and try to keep our miners protected from irresponsible attacks upon mining, because most of our miners in our area are very responsible They know what they need to do to try and keep things open for everybody, and they don't cause any problems for anybody. And so we have a great mining district in our area. So I support that by volunteering to be the president. But we also support the local museum, the Circle Mining District Museum, through just general donations. And also every year in July, the last Saturday of July. So for those of you who are thinking about coming to camp, want to enjoy what the museum has to offer, the last Saturday in July is a great opportunity because we have what's called the Miners Picnic. And the Miners Picnic is when almost all the miners in our district take a day off. The night before, we roast a pig and we do a big potluck. The whole community comes and does that. We do a big raffle. We get donations from a lot of the businesses that the miners spend money at through the summer. And then whatever donations we get, we raffle off, and all the money goes to the museum.
Very cool. My friend Outdoor Wally from New York, were you on the GPAA Alaskans videos?
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, do I recognize Blake from the old Gold Fever Alaska shows?
Yeah, that would be me.
And Wayne Nick says, hey, Wayne. And Dale Covey says, I'm here.
Good.
Hey, Kirk, how you doing? Secret Creek Prospecting. Good to see you. Sweaters, hoodies keeping me warm tonight. And down in my studio, buddy. Now, I'm sure you have a real good safety program there, and because being out in a remote AK, I'm sure you have a really good means to take care of something if the poo hits the fan some way or another.
Sure. So we are rural Alaska, and every year we try to figure out what we need to do to make it better, because it is rural and things are definitely slower where we're at. So one thing that Lisa and I have decided to do this year is set up a mobile station at Portage Creek and a mobile station at Deadwood Creek. And those are the two main creeks that we have the most of our claims on, where we're going to set up Starlink systems that operate during all hours of the day, so that if customers have an issue, let's just say Wayne has a heart attack and somebody's with them and they have an emergency and they need to make a call, rather than driving 12 or 13 miles down the road to the roadhouse to let us know, they can actually make a Wi-Fi call to us right there from Starlink and let us know so that we can get the ball rolling as fast as possible.
Yep.
While we're on the subject, Ivavia is like closest hospital near camp.
So Fairbanks is the closest, and they can handle your standard basic things like if you lacerated yourself, you have a broken bone, things like that. If it's more serious, then they're probably going to take you down to Fairbanks. Or I'm sorry, Fairbanks. Yeah, right. I just said that. Anchorage.
Right.
and we've had a couple times. So like back when I was running the camp up in Nome, we had one lady who flipped her bike on the beach and ended up being really messed up, and they had to fly her to Anchorage and then all the way down to Seattle. So, but we've got the connection that'll get you to Fairbanks, which is the next step to Anchorage. And if they can't handle it, they can
you can actually buy an insurance policy if it's a concern. It's under $100, and that'll pay to fly you out. So
like life flight or something like that.
Yeah,
huh?
life flight helicopter.
It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've had a couple of people now asking on Nugs, Troy Johnson and Jason, Colorado, wondering how big of the gold you guys finding on.
Well,
so go ahead. I'll let you go first, Wayne.
No, I was going to say the gold is excellent. Every camp I've ever been to, I found gold. I've been doing this a long time though, but the Skookum gold is excellent. Uh, you have to prospect for the gold. It's not a pay pile, but the gold is plentiful. And Paul is there to help. Blake is there to help. If you don't have experience, they put you, on a gold bearing place for sure.
Right.
And the gold is good. In fact, I think we could show you some gold in a minute here.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys are already been chomping on the bit for some teas.
Go ahead, Blake.
But to answer the nugget question, to be more specific to nuggets,
Mm-hmm.
and we're completely transparent. So Portage Creek is not known for nuggets. In the 110 or 115 year history of that creek, the two out of the three largest nuggets ever found on that creek we found at our mine, which is just above where the patented property is, where everybody gets to go play. And it was 1.65 ounces and 1.03 ounces, which, as far as being an all-time record, is really not high compared to other creeks. But that particular creek has consistent chunky gold. So even if you pan out your fine gold and look at it under magnifications, it's very chunky.
Yeah.
Now, Deadwood Creek, which we have other claims on, is known for larger gold. As a matter of fact, a guy that has a claim just upstream from us, he was high banking, and he high banked a 3-ounce nugget, and he only knew he found it because it landed on his toe off the grizzly.
That's awesome.
So I don't want to set the wrong expectation with people. I really want people to know what they're getting into when they come up. And is there a chance for nuggets? Absolutely. Will you find gold when you come up? Absolutely. How much will you find? It's entirely up to you. But we really hope that the cost of the trip is worth the experience, and the gold is a bonus.
Absolutely. I tell everybody, you don't prospect for gold to get rich. You do it for the experience. And for me, the experience is I'm the first human being that ever saw the gold. I dug it out of the ground and I just go, wow, it's been down there for millions and millions of years. And, but you will find gold. There's no question about it. How much effort you put in.
Well, isn't it always like that? If you're gonna,
yeah, it seems to be.
If you're gonna sit on the gravel bar on your lounge chair, on your beach chair, and have a 6-pack of beer, that ain't. You might have a good time and stuff, but
you'll find aluminum that way.
Yeah, right, and it ain't filling up your poke, and we're not in the days of yesteryear where aluminum was actually worth more than gold. So,
yeah, exactly.
So, you move that shovel or that nozzle, you'll add to that poke, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we all love it or we wouldn't do it.
Right. As one of my guests said, only people that understand are the ones that already have the bug,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like Blake said, though, once you find gold, that's it. There's nothing else like it.
Definitely. It's nice, like you said, Wayne, being the very first one since creation.
Yep.
To lay eyes upon it.
Yeah. When you look down and you can see the gold without shoveling it, you go, man, it doesn't get better than this. Just pick it up with your fingers.
You're right, Johnson from Wisconsin. Gold in your pan is like holding a rainbow on your hand.
There you go.
Yeah. That's right. And I'll tell you a little story about Dan. So I didn't know Dan before we opened up the gold camp. And when he found out we had it, I don't even know how he found out about us. Maybe he can tell you, so I know. But he brought I think it was 4 people up with him the first year. This was our opening year. Had a blast. And then last year he brought up, I think, 6 people with him. And not only that, the winter prior, he actually volunteered to come up because our bar is also the finish line for the Yukon Quest, which is the second biggest sled dog race in Alaska. And so we've become really, really, really good friends over these last couple of years. And in 2024, he was actually bringing 11 people with him to come up to the camp at the very end of the season. And he's a great guy. He loves prospecting. He also loves my other passion, which is fireworks.
Oh, he's got the best fireworks.
And we're gonna have a good time this summer. So Dan, I'm glad you're watching. Thanks for watching the stream here.
Yeah,
looking forward
definitely.
to seeing it, Dan.
And I hope to see you come back, Dan and Dale and Nick and the rest of you.
They're all good people, even Dale. Yeah, I know. I'm just being diplomatic.
I'm just kidding. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Now, how do you approach accessibility, making gold prospecting and the outdoor activities inclusive for people with varying levels of physical ability?
So that's something that we're working on really hard this year. We've got a big project ahead of us that we hope we can accomplish. And so we always try to make things as available to as many ability levels as possible. But this year, if we can accomplish our goal of bringing an excavator down to Skookum to not only make digging safer for the people that want to dig into those virgin areas, but also to make piles for people that are less capable.
Exactly.
I'll be really happy. And that's our big goal for this year.
Nice, and I hope you achieve it in high levels. Thanks for becoming a new subscriber, and welcome to the FlashFam, Johnson from Wisconsin. And you never know, if you're up on the Lake Superior beach mining, I might run into you someday. Now, my friend Jeff, he's a liar from Utah. All of them there are liars. They say there's no gold there, but I know different. But Jeff, good friend, GoPro Unlimited. Can customers buy adult beverages on the claim? I don't know if they.
So I will say that Skookum is the only gold camp that is a roadhouse, which means we have a bar and restaurant.
There you go, Jeff.
When you're done with your day, we have a full bar with beer and wine and hard alcohol. If you want to buy liquor to go and you're going to take it out to the claims and drink it responsibly because you are driving my ATVs, we are okay with that. But, all we ask is that we use responsibility. We don't want anybody to get into an accident with themselves or with other people.
Get hurt.
Nothing wrong with having a beer, but you got to do it responsibly.
Right.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Brad, now I know you're lying, Brad. He says no gold in Australia either. There's no gold nowhere. And David, you got your answer. It's not bring your own booze at Skookum Gold Camp. They have a roadhouse.
Yep. They've got everything you can think of, even free laundry. I mean, you can't beat that.
Now, Troy, we touched base a little bit on this, Troy, but I doubt if Blake will mind going back to it. Troy asked, and GoPro Unlimited, Jeff Miller asked before, pretty much the same question. Is a fishing license included in the package?
No.
There's no fish in the creek.
So the first answer is the fishing license is not included, but if you want to get a fishing license, we've got enough internet where we can get you one.
Okay.
We do have fishing rods and reels with line available to you. You either have to bring your own lure or you got to buy one, because I don't know about you, but I've lost plenty of lures in my day. So, so we do have fishing rods and reels and line. We have the ability for you to get a fishing license, but the price of the fishing license is not included. You can choose whether you want a 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, 14 day, or a season license. They're not too bad. The full season's like $140 if I'm not mistaken, and a day is I think 15 or 20 bucks. So it's not going to break the bank. And the closest creek to us that has fish would be called Crooked Creek, which is right next to the restaurant, and you can walk right over to the bridge and have a chance of catching Arctic grayling there. And if you want to catch northern pike, we can guide you over to Birch Creek where you'll have an opportunity to catch the larger fish.
Okay, so you do have some fishing in the local area, just not in the stream you mine in, per se.
So Deadwood Creek, which is where the dredging and metal detecting is most popular, they do have the Arctic grayling. Portage Creek, which is where we do a lot of high banking and sluicing, that creek doesn't actually hit any other body of water. It actually goes underground.
You were saying
great
that
when
earlier.
it comes to a regulation perspective because we don't have to deal with the fish, but it isn't conducive to fishing. But you have to pass at least 2 other fish-bearing creeks on your way back to the roadhouse. So there's lots of fishing opportunities.
Excellent. Hey, Graveyard Prospecting. Hope you're doing well, Mitch. Wonder if any more Oregonians are in the house. No, it's not in Maine, Mitch. It's in Alaska, Central Alaska. In the description, there's links to skookumgoldcamp.com, also to their Facebook group, their whatever links they have are down in the description, along with Wayne's link to Central Maine Gold Prospectors Club that Wayne's the president of.
They can DM me on Facebook. You know, they can send me an email, whatever they'd like.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Now, asked you that one. Considering the seasonal nature of gold prospecting, what plans does Skookum Gold Camp have to attract visitors during different times of the year, if it's possible?
So it is actually. We've got other opportunities that it's going to take us some time because we've only had the Roadhouse for a couple of years.
Right.
But my wife and I have talked about how do we get people up there in the wintertime, for example. Now, the sled dog race is great, but it's only 4 days long. So we've talked about some ideas, and I don't know which ones will come to fruition, but the one that I like the most would be in the wintertime. So we have some patented property that's about 12 miles from the roadhouse. And if we can plow and keep it plowed, we're talking about maybe some snowmobile adventures for Northern Lights, for example, and stuff like that. Then also we have a big Christmas party, a big New Year's party that we do, all of which, again, we're in mostly darkness that time of year. So for people that have an interest in seeing the Northern Lights and doing it in a part of the state where you're not as congested as, like, say, Anchorage or other places, we're a great opportunity for that. And our hotel rooms are quite a bit cheaper than staying in the big city too. So, and as time goes on, we're going to come up with other things that will hopefully be attractive to people to help, not only get us through the winter, but give people an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Excellent. Excellent. So sounds like you're want to expand, but still keep that nice, small, intimate, friendly feeling,
That's right. Yeah, I don't want us to be a big operation. Like I said, when I worked for GPA, we had up to 110 guests a week, and it was fun, but it wasn't personal. And to me, if you're coming to a place like that, personal is better because it'll help you learn more. It'll help you build relationships with the crew and the guests better. And ultimately, hopefully, it'll create an experience for you that'll make you want to come back, and that's what we hope for. And so yeah, we're never going to grow beyond our britches. Uh, uh, we want to give everybody who comes up, whether it be for the gold camp or just for a burger, a great experience.
I want to thank Terry Marshall, my friend from down under, for the $15 Australian super chat. Thank you, brother. Terry Marshall is a opal and gold miner from Lightning Ridge, Australia, and thereabouts. Thank you, sir. Shoot, I should have figured out more questions. They've been waiting pretty good. Would you gentlemen have anything to quench their thirst on what we fondly call here gold porn?
Well, let me pour this. This is some fine gold. Let me pour this in a pan so it's easier to see.
Okay, Brad.
You better go slow, Wayne. I'll be right back.
Let me blow up Wayne and
okay.
That way. Oops.
Then I'm gonna throw a couple nuggets in.
Okay, I gotta fix the screen because I had it all set up for all of you on it. So I just need shrink it down a little on my end. So
let me tilt the pan and see if you can see it. Let's see. Oop, yeah, gold's heavy. Hang on. I'll tilt the iPad. So you
this kind of reminds me of a time when one of my late co-hosts, he's not late as in passed away, Toledo Jess, he's got too busy to continue the show. But one day he was showing me and our other friend Dano some gold in his pan, but he had water in it, and it wasn't a dry pan. And he goes to show us, and next thing you know, it's pouring on his laptop, and all we saw was lights out black.
That's lovely.
Oh, man.
Might be able to see these nuggets here. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Those are some nice nuggets.
Look at
it's all Alaska gold.
That looks good.
But it's fun to dig up there because you find color just about in every pan.
Right.
And so you basically test pan until you find the best color.
Right.
And then you set up over that with your high banker or dredge. In fact, this year he's talking about getting a couple. I don't know if you've ever heard of a whiz banger, but it's a sluice for land basically that has a suction nozzle, and so as long as you have water on the ground, you can feed it. It's not like a jet nozzle for underwater.
Right.
They work very well. I've used them in California.
For doing some booming on the bars, huh?
No, this was actually right in a claim down in Pine Grove.
Well, what I mean by booming is dry land dredging.
Oh, exactly then, yeah.
Like with the hydrophores dredge nozzle and stuff, yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Here we go. Now
hey, Evergreen Prospectors. Okay, I'm going to pin you
All right, here we go. Look at that.
Here's some gold porn for you.
Okay, wait. I need to pin you up and get it so everything isn't totally instant during the show, unfortunately. I just have an awesome audience that bears with us. There's some gold porn for you, boys and girls.
There's some real Skookum gold.
There's about a pound of gold sitting there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Troy pound. You guys know the difference between a Troy pound and a regular pound, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like the difference of the Troy ounce and an ounce. I had an argument
4
with the
grams difference.
gentleman I worked with one time. I'm like, you know, to get an ounce of gold, that's 31 grams. And he goes, that ain't an ounce.
27 grams.
that,
28, yeah.
that ain't an ounce. It's only 28. And I go, no, the bankers and stuff screwed the miners way back when. A troy
Mm-hmm.
ounce does not weigh the same as a standard ounce.
It's 31.1 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I should have something posted below for some merch, Secret Creek prospecting, but take a look at what I got and let me know what you like because I like the hoodie you sent me. So, but there's a link for merch down below and on my channel in the shop, Secret Creek. But what else can we? David Villa says Roaring Camp visited a lot. Well, that's close to you, and I know Wayne's been to Roaring Camp.
Been to Roaring, yep, down in California, Pine Grove. Yep.
Now, since you worked for the GPA for a while, did you ever do anything at Italian Bar or
Yeah.
like Burnt River Camp or anything like that also?
Yeah. So when I started working for GPAA, wasn't long before I started being in charge of all of their outings and expeditions. And so I did outings on all of their camps from Italian Bar and Burnt River all the way down to Dahlonega, down at in Georgia, North Carolina, Vane Mountain, up into Michigan when they had their property up there, and then
At
up to Nome for
Athens,
the.
yeah.
Yep. As a matter of fact, it was right after the Athens outing that I ran in 2010 that my wife and I got married because my wife is from about 20 minutes from there. And so, yeah, I got to do all of that. And I really, really, really enjoyed spending time, especially down at Italian Bar. Italian Bar is a special place for us. We spent a lot of time down there. Once the Alaska expedition was done every summer, uh, the next event for me was the Motherlode expedition. And they
Okay.
don't do it anymore, but the Motherlode expedition was down at the historic site of Pine Log, which was a town that existed on the South Fork of the Stanislaus River in Motherlode country. And when I was doing that, especially the Maine year, my wife and kids, they would stay over at Italian Bar in a friend of ours' trailer, and then on the weekends we get back together, in between weeks.
Right.
And that's a special place. It's got so much old gold rush history. I love it. As a matter of fact, right outside the porch here, I have a pick head. So a little bit of gold rush history. That particular river didn't have a lot of water. And so there was times in the year where the water's really low. So a lot of the miners would dam their section up, their claim up, because there wasn't a whole lot of rules back then.
Right.
And occasionally their crude dams wouldn't hold up, and then it would flood all the miners downstream. And so once dredging was banned in 2009, we had to figure out, well, what do we do now, right? So we decided to high bank, and we picked a spot where we hand sampled and found some gold, and decided, okay, let's do a hand operated open pit mine, basically, for lack of better words. And so we did, and we just kind of leveled ourselves down. And as we got down and down and down to probably like the 3 or 4 foot level, we hit modern trash, like an old screwdriver, a rubber cone from the
Right.
highway up the hill, and stuff like that. And then we kept going and going and going. And this hole was probably, I don't know, 20 or 25 feet wide by 25 or 30 feet long. And this is hand excavated, mind you. And we kept going down and down and down and down. And once we got to about the 6 foot layer, we had a lot of water infiltrating from the river. So we constantly had to create a low spot and keep water pumping out,
Right.
and then keep working our way down, always maintaining a low spot. And when we got to about 9 feet below the current river level, we ran into this just boulders. So my opinion is that was never worked below that because we started getting to some really good gold, nice specimens and chunky nuggets. But we also ran into gold rush era relics. So we found a couple of wedges. We found one pick head that was partially worn out. And then we found another pick head that was hardly worn out at all. So if you go back to what I said about the miners creating their own dams,
Mm-hmm.
if one of those dams bursts because of a flood or whatever, it's just going to make things worse. And back in the gold rush, a pick was probably going to cost you an ounce of gold. So that tells you what the value was to them back then.
All right.
So to find a fully intact, and if you've got a second, I'll just grab it real quick.
Sure.
A fully intact pick head from that era tells you something happened that was not planned.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, especially the play, how the merchants really gouged the
absolutely.
miners and stuff.
Yep.
So here's that pick head.
Wow. That's a cool
You can still see the
relic.
rocks all rusted into the middle and everything.
Wow.
There was quite a bit more rusted onto it initially, but a lot of it is flaked off
It's
over the
barely
last
used.
12 years.
Right.
Looks
But
brand
you can
new.
see, look how sharp the tip is there.
Yeah. Look at
The
the
tip is
point
there. It
on
was
it.
never used. Nobody's going to throw that away during the gold rush.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
something happened.
Cool.
Now,
So there's a story to that pick we'll never know, but we can kind of figure that something unexpected happened.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Now I brought up Burnt River Camp because I've been to the Burnt River Camp. I've been to the Scott River Camp also.
Been there too, yep.
I wonder what years you were there.
So the
'Cause-
first year I went to, the first camp I went to would have been Scott River, and this would have been in 2006. So when I
that's long
first started,
past time then.
okay, yeah. So when I first started getting involved with GPA, I was doing photography, a lot of like ghost town photography, and I decided to vend at all the different gold shows on the West Coast. And so I did Vegas, I did SoCal, and then I did Vegas, and then I did I think it was Lancaster, and then Redding, California, and the next one was in Oregon. And I had some time in between, so I actually went over to Scott River, and that's when I met a guy named Klondike Mike and his wife, and we Mike and Kathy, and I was just in my pickup truck, and they didn't know me from Adam, but when they seen how cold it was, we had this freaking storm coming through, and it was snowing, it was raining, it was just miserable. I'm like, well, just come over here and sleep in the office. You can sleep on the floor. So I slept in the floor of Scott River the first time I went there, and it was thanks to those guys, and it kept me nice and warm.
It's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I found a really nice nugget at the Scott River camp. Very nice. Biggest in my life.
Nice.
It's about 93.
Okay.
My youngest son was 2 years old when I found it. But I used to go sell prospecting goods at LDMA outings and stuff.
Okay.
And way back in the day, I would drag my kids all over the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, Northern Cal, and
there's worse things you could do. That's for sure.
I wouldn't drive any really farther down than like Wairika and Klamath area, Siskiyou, because that was already 12-hour drive from my house. It was 24 hours from where I lived in Washington to Anaheim, and my parents would drive up and meet me at Scott River Camp and up in that area, or uh, Gold Hill or something, and I'd come down and meet them. And
Yep.
instead of us going all the way down to Anaheim, or they coming all the way up to Northwest Washington. But shoot. Side goal porn. Any other questions any of you have in the chat? Make sure to tag me so I see it. We can get back to talking about Skookum Gold Camp. I know what's funny, Kirk. I always think about Skookum Creek in Whatcom County, back home. When I see the name. But Blake, you still have your shop in Quartzite? Yes, he does. You could
Right
also
here.
plug
Right here.
plug Miners Depot in Quartzite, Arizona.
Here it is. As a matter of fact, I'll give you the quickie. There you go, Miners Depot.
Come and visit. What are your hours and days that you're open?
So Miners Depot is only open during the winter because summers are too slow up here.
And you're in
We're open
Alaska.
approximately November 1st until April 1st. So I'm here right now. Lisa, my wife, and the kids, they're up in Alaska keeping the roadhouse going. And we are open from 8 until 5, 7 days a week. Depending on how busy it is, once we get into March, we might close one day, but we'll update that on Google. So if anybody's interested in coming down, we'll know ahead of time.
Okay, excellent. Do you offer any, like, do you have claims in Arizona people could uh buy a membership or day use or anything too?
Kind of. So I used to be the president of the local club here in town called the Quartzite Metal Detecting Club, which has been around since the 80s. And we still support them by selling their memberships for them. They're local. They've got over 400 acres of claims right here in the Quartzite area. And you can join the club through us or through any of their events for $20 for the whole year, good till the end of the year. And you get a membership card, you get a badge, and you also get a book that has maps and directions and all the important information that you need to get out to the claims. And if you talk to me, I can give you some suggestions. Some of the claims I used to own, and I can get you pointed in the right direction of where I found gold before. And although I can't promise you'll find gold there, at least you'll be pointed in the right direction.
Right. Excellent. I do have the link to Miners Depot Facebook page down in the description also if you want to reach out to Blake that way. And yes,
the
sir.
club's webpage is real easy. It's just quartzitemetaldetectingclub.com.
There you go. So do you do anything with like Gold Fever Adventures with Jack Tucker or anything like that?
He wants me to actually be on with him next week. I might do it. I've done it with him in the past. So maybe next Wednesday is what it sounded like we're going to shoot for. If everything falls together like I think it will, you'll see me there next Wednesday.
Yeah, besides wanting to stop by your shop and I wanted to go by and visit with Jack, but
Sure.
the other half wouldn't let me.
Oh, darn.
She's like, I know
I ain't
you,
going there.
Ed. We need to make it past Tucson by tonight, and you'll sit here and want to talk half the day or go out find some gold or something.
Next time, plan an extra week.
Again, I was
Exactly.
already in Southern California a week and ended up having to take another week off. It was during Christmas time, so I know you would have been open.
Yeah.
So next time I'll make it a planned trip. It wasn't
There you
planned
go.
at all. I should have been on a plane. How the metal detecting at Skookum Creek? Uh, what has been found?
So Portage Creek. So there's three different creeks that we have that are our main creeks that we have claims on. There's Portage Creek. There's what we call Portage proper, which is another creek that feeds into Portage Creek, and then there's Deadwood Creek. Both of the Portage Creeks don't have a lot of giant gold. The largest gold that we've ever found, which is 2 out of the 3 largest pieces ever found, as I mentioned before, was 1.65 ounces and 1.03. If you have a gold monster, if you borrow a gold monster from the camp, there is gold that is gold monster sized. We've also had some people that come in with like Mine Lab 6000s, which are good for depth, but also good for sensitivity to small gold that have found some gold. But that creek is not famous for big nuggets.
Okay.
Now, Deadwood Creek, on the other side of things, is known for larger gold than Portage Creek. Like I mentioned earlier, the guy that had a 3-ounce nugget fall off the grizzly of his high banker and land on his foot.
Right.
So there is the potential for that. For those of you who've ever heard of the gold cube, which I think is probably most of you, my friend Mike, he comes up almost every year, sometimes more, sometimes less. He came up in the fall and we went out and we did some detecting. He actually found a few nuggets on Portage, even though there's not big gold there. Then we went out to Deadwood. He actually found a 5-grammer, which is a
Nice.
pretty good sized piece of gold. So
Good
are you
from
going to
Mr.
find any
Mike
2 or 3
Pond.
ounces? Probably not. Anything's possible, but I just want to set the right expectation. You know?
Right,
Sure.
right. Do you offer any discounts for veterans or service personnel?
So our
Active
goal,
duty.
we're really passionate about prospecting. We want to extend that opportunity to as many people as possible. So we've tried to keep our prices as affordable as possible, whether you're a veteran or not. So our base price with $2,500, which is for one person for 1 week, is a lot cheaper than most of the other ones out there because it's all inclusive. And if you go for more than a week, or you bring somebody with you, that goes down to 2,000. So unfortunately, to the short answer to your question is no. We want to make it as
Well,
affordable to.
being that affordable, plus it's everything's included, unlike
Yep.
some other camps where,
Yep.
this size
The
dredge
fee.
or that dredge or whatever is
Yep.
more.
Mining
The
fees.
ATV is more.
Yep.
You're
If they
paying
have
for
one.
your fuel also. And
Yep.
We don't want any surprises. So the only surprise will be if you like to have a beer, you come to the bar and you have a beer, you got to pay for your beer. That's the only thing that's not included.
Okay, now for
Yeah.
GoPro Unlimited, does your bar stock Coors, or I mean Corona? Sorry, Jeff.
Yes.
Corona.
Yes.
So you're in luck, Jeff. There's Corona
Tequila
at the
liquor,
bar.
huh?
Corona and
Absolutely.
tequila. So my friend Orlando, he's a detectorist. You guys, please, when you can, after this great show, check out the new video, please. Found old silver. Come on. It's not really that type of show, Orlando, but I'll let it slide this time, bro. GoPro Unlimited said, I'm sold. Hurry up, you better buy your spot quick, Jeff. They fill up quickly, very quickly.
So this weekend we had like I mentioned, our gold show here in Quartzite, and we actually had 12 people sign up, which was we have never really heavily promoted the camp yet like that, and so
Yeah,
it was pretty encouraging.
I've had 2 people
nice.
message me since we've been on.
There you go. Bam, bam. Um, Nice, nice. Any other questions, anybody? Well, if you don't mind, gentlemen, I know you're in Arizona. We're both on the East Coast. Lisa, I'm glad to see you're still joining us. Wish she would have been
Hey,
able to
Lisa.
connect with us, but
I wish we could see her.
we know how technology and communication networks can be, especially in parts of Alaska.
Lisa's a
Um,
sweet lady. I don't know how Blake got so lucky, but squirrel can find a
I
blind
won the
squirrel can find
lottery.
a nut.
there you go. The real
So,
gold of Skookum Creek. Uh,
That's right.
everybody, come to Alaska. Come to Alaska. You got to do it.
I'll get there one day, I swear, Wayne.
You got to do it.
I,
You won't regret it.
I have a list and a map full of want to go places.
Well, I only have a few things on my bucket list. And one was earthquake, and that happened the time before last I was in Alaska. So I'm sure Blake's going to find me a nice UFO, and then I'm done. So
You just got to come when it's dark enough to see them.
well, I'm going to be there when it's dark this year.
I
Now,
know you are.
do you plan on adding videos to a YouTube channel or to your Facebook and stuff in the
Yeah.
future?
So the first couple of years have just been pretty hectic with just focusing on trying to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible. But we do have a YouTube called Skookum Gold Camp. And we don't have any recent videos, but we do plan over the next couple months to start making some videos to ramp up for the season, and then also uh, uh, have more videos live out on site because with us adding a Starlink setup on both of the sites,
Oh,
this will be the
live.
first time
That's a
we'll
great
actually be
idea.
able to live. We could even live stream right there while people are digging
Yeah.
for gold, which
There
I'm really
you
excited
go.
to see how that goes.
That's awesome.
That'd be wicked cool.
Yeah.
That
I can
that
make all my friends jealous too.
There you go.
right.
And
That'd be
there's
So,
nothing better than hearing it. Like, there's nothing better than hearing it from people like Wayne or our other guests, because I didn't know Wayne until he came up as a guest of the camp
Yeah.
and he fell in love with it. So hearing it from people who don't know me and are giving you their personal experience is way more valuable than hearing it from me.
Yeah.
Prospector Paul has videos of last summer up there.
He
Yep.
does.
There's quite a few. So if you just YouTube Skookum Gold Camp, you're going to find all kinds of different videos. Some of them are from Paul. Some of them are from Johnston, Wisconsin. There's another friend named John Mallory. He made a video. He's into
Yep.
ghosts. So you get
He's
to see
into
some
the
cool
ghost
stuff there.
things, man.
So
Yeah.
none of them are from me. There's only a couple of videos at the very beginning that are from me. They're from people that have been there and they're sharing their experience with you.
Yeah. Carl Miller's put a couple up, I think.
Thought I had your
A&T Adventures in England. So we had a couple guys from England. I think I told you earlier that came out, and they have a couple videos as well.
They're great. Yeah.
I thought I had your channel in my description, but I guess not. I'll get it there here after the show. Thank you.
It's easy. It's
Thank
just
you, Bill,
Skookum.
for posting the link to their YouTube channel. I appreciate it, brother. Well, we're going to have a change of pace on next week. Actually, the next two shows, everybody. I'm going to be having some return friends come join us from, they started off kind of metal detecting and snorkeling in rivers, cleaning up rivers. Now they're full blown into missing people, missing person, cold case, search and recovery. They do a lot of good out there. My friend Jacob from Chaos Divers is going to be joining us next week with my good friend Rose Knows Treasure as my guest co-host. And then the week after that, we're having the thumbnail says Exploring with Nug Jeremy, but it's going to be changing to Wrecked Recovery because we're going to be also having Adam Brown Adventures joining us that week, where him and Jeremy work really tight together on many missing person cases. I appreciate all of you joining us tonight. Blake, thank you very much for taking your time joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Your time's valuable. I hope to see you in the desert or on the river someday.
We'll drag you up to Alaska.
Please do. Wayne, same goes for you. I hope to meet you one day on the river.
I hope you do too.
Along with you too,
thank you for the
Lisa.
opportunity.
And
thanks for talking to us. Appreciate
it. I had a great time. It was a pleasure. All of you out there, my friends, FlashFam, personal friends and future friends, I hope one day to see you on the river also. Until then, may you always have a flash in your pan. But I gotta go to the bathroom really bad, and
all right.
I don't want to put up a picture and have them sitting here handing solo trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So good night, everybody.
Good night.
On that note, we're out of here.
I'll talk to you soon, Blake.
Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye, Lisa.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Lisa. Good night, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.